you want more?
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Hit record on this thing and we'll get going. Hey, so we overcame some technical difficulties, but see, this works out, man. This works out. So I was talking to Dave, and he goes, "I want to send you a record by this band Blitz," and I was like, "All right, well, go ahead and send it." And he did, and he goes, "What do you think?" And I go, that was awesome. I like it. I enjoy it a lot. So he goes, "Hey, would you like to talk to anybody in the band?" I go, "Well, yeah, if they're up for it." So here we are now. So Stuart, you guys have been around since is it 2015? Is that correct?
Yep. This is the new album, Kicking Up a Storm, is our, well, theoretically it's our fourth album, but we've got 3 studio albums and a live album. So the first album's called Welcome to the Rock Show. And then we did the second album's called Fight to Survive.
Mm-hmm.
Then we did a live album called Take No Prisoners. And Kicking Up a Storm is the new one that came out.
April 26th. April 26th.
Yeah.
I remember the date because it was in the press release that he got me. So yeah. So it's not even a month old yet, right? So here we are. So in what with you guys, I mean, I know that you said this is you got a couple studios and a live, and then this would be 4, right?
Yeah.
I'm really,
fourth.
I'm really curious to listen to the live one, I think, because that's always kind of a good.
You can track.
Yeah,
You can track it down on Spotify if you want to listen.
No, I'll check it out. But yeah, I always like checking out the live albums because it gives you kind of, if you've never seen a band, typically if they haven't done a lot of the sweetening of the live material, you can tell because they leave everything in there or most everything in there, and it's a good testament to the live show. So
I'd like to know what you think. I mean, we're kind of well known for our live act, so yeah.
That's what I've seen. I mean, one thing that I did check out, I mean, obviously you checked out the music, checked out the video, that I think it wasn't that long ago that you put out that video, right? How long's it been?
Well, for this album, there's 5 promotional videos that have gone out.
Okay. I've seen the most recent one.
Lots to catch up on. The last one was a thing we did ourselves called We Are the Power, which was a single we did. And we got the audience to film it on their phone.
Right.
And they sent the footage to us. We edited it. And it's kind of to just give it that kind of rock community vibe where everybody was involved.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the last video. Before that, there was a video called Freddie Said. It's like a homage to the late, great Freddie Mercury. Because the 3 of us are all very big Queen fans as well. So that video's that, and that's done by a guy called Jay Hillier. He's a great videographer. He worked with Black Star Riders and Wayward Sons and a lot of bands in the UK who kind of get in there, Right. So we were very lucky to do that. And what else is there? There's another video called Keep Moving On, again, which is filmed with Jay Hillier, and we've done them all over the UK, really. We're a Nottingham-based band. We're from Nottingham in the UK. Robin Hood and Sherwood Forest and Kevin Costner.
Right.
Yeah, we're from Nottingham. And last week, in fact, we took some time off. We did some dates with a band called the Gypsy Pistoleros from the UK. And we played in Edinburgh and Scotland and Newcastle, so all over the UK, really. It's quite a good live scene for rock music over here at the moment. So,
one of the things that I know about the UK is that they've embraced a lot of like I guess what you would call the meat and potatoes type bands. Like Rival Sons, became huge. I think out in the UK. I think like Blackberry Smoke, who have more of a Southern rock vibe, bands like that. I mean, is it kind of pretty diverse over there in the UK as far as rock scene, or is it certain bands hit bigger than others? Because I know a band like, let's say, I think like the Struts, who have kind of a Queen type of
Yeah.
influence to them. I think I've read interviews where their singer says that they're not very big in the UK, but they do reasonably well in the United States.
I think what's happening in the UK is there's kind of a little bit of a resurgence.
Mhm.
And I think everybody wants to get out and escape a bit and get back to Friday and Saturday nights, seeing a band that takes you out of things a bit. And there's a lot of different kind of acts that are gathering ground. And I think the priority over here, when you go and see a band, is people really want to be a part of it and have a real, I think the rock and roll vibe's really strong at the moment. But you've got to work hard over here. I'm not saying, obviously, a lot of what Blitz has taken as influences. I mean, a lot of them are American bands. Early Van Halen and Kiss, and a lot of the people who wrote the book on Stadium Rock. Everything from that to Green Day to Metallica. I mean, we take it all on board really, and the whole lot. When Blitz were formed, I met the guitarist Kev. He worked in a rehearsal studio in Nottingham, and he had a big Ace Frehley from the solo albums in the 70s. He's got a big Ace Frehley tattoo on his arm.
Okay.
And when I was a kid, the first thing I ever remember, is buying a Kiss record, and I loved Cheap Trick, and he loved Queen and Kiss, and we got talking about, we were both in bands at the time. Both the bands that we were in were quite hardcore, and I said I'd love to be in a band where we could get back to that initial vibe, that rock vibe that made us want to pick up instruments in the first place. So we started writing together, and it started going really well. And I just happened to, through my day job, I knew a guy who was a drummer, and he's really, again, he was a hardcore guy. So I didn't know if he was going to get this idea that we had, this little seed of an idea. And Matt Davis, our drummer, we sent him the material we've been writing, and he loved it. And we got together, and that's how Blitz were formed, really. We were formed with that whole idea of creating songs with hooks in there, with, big choruses, and we're not trying to rewrite the book. I mean, we've been very lucky with the new album, Kicking Up a Storm. It has had some great reviews from all around the world, and people really picking up on that fact that we are kind of, it's very meat and potatoes what we do. We're not trying to rewrite the book here. What we're trying to do is kind of pay homage to the music that we love, and the bands, like early Aerosmith and MC5, and there's a lot of different kind of vibes that go into Blitz. If you listen, as a bass player, I like a lot of Prince stuff, because he was such a diverse musician. If you're a musician, you gotta tip your hat to the greats,
right?
And that's what Blitz wanted to be. We wanted to be a band that you went and saw. You had a great night out. We involve the audience. We don't play at them. We're playing to you, and we want you to be part of the band. And that's kind of the whole idea of Blitz, really.
Right. Yeah. And I think the thing I appreciate about you guys is you're doing something different. I know, there's this scene where a lot of acts are trying to recreate like the 80s with the imagery, and the big hair. And I'm like,
I ain't got that option.
No, we have an option. And I prefer the other option because I'd been through that era. Right. And you can't recreate it. Kind of like, if you had bands that were trying to recreate the 70s, it's like, you can't do it.
No, it's a time and a place and a moment in your life.
Right.
I think what I was trying to say was, what Blitz wanted to do was we wanted to take all those influences and put them in this big mixer and see what came out the other end.
Right.
And that's the kind of way we were. We're not afraid to have tracks. If you listen to the album, there's a piano song on there, and that's people kind of always think when you write a song with the piano it's going to be a ballad. It's not a ballad if you listen. It's about how rock music can kind kind of shaped us as kids, really, and shaped us in the friends we met through rock. You exchange albums, don't you? And you go into the record store back in the day, and you swap albums, and you kind of learn about different bands that way. And it's about that experience that music gives you as a human being, And I think it's just not being afraid to kind of push it a little bit and think, let's yeah.
I was curious because I know you brought up Kiss, and that was one of my questions. I was like, was Kiss an influence at all? I know you brought up Queen. I can see where that comes into the influence. But as far as Kiss, I mean, were you a big Kiss fan as far as like the non-makeup? Because I know that was bigger in the UK.
What happened to me was when I was 11 years old in the UK, I saved all my pennies, my pocket money, and I cut the grass, and I had my pocket money. And when I got the money, after 2 or 3 weeks, I wanted to buy our first album, and at 11 years old, and I remember we had a Woolworths store in town, and a record store, and I flipped through, and I saw the cover for Destroyer, and I thought, these guys just look like they walked out of a comic book,
Right.
As a kid, I think a lot of people got into Kiss back then because they did look like Marvel kind of characters,
Mm-hmm.
So I remember emptying all my pennies onto the counter, and the woman who was serving me saying, "Are you sure you want this?" And my mum saying, "Yes." She tried to get me to buy ABBA.
Oh, jeez.
And my mum was saying, "No, he wants this." And so, I remember getting home and putting Destroyer on and listening to, if you've ever played Destroyer, it starts with a very theatrical beginning where a guy's getting in a car and they're driving to a concert, and it's kind of it's Bob Ezrin producing, so it's a very kind of theatrical production. And I just got sucked into this whole thing, and it just made me want to. I went from there to listening to lots of different things, flipping through my brother's albums then, who were older than me. They were listening to like Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous.
Oh, nice.
A lot of early Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath, because they were quite a bit older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I was picking up on these other influences as well, even like early David Bowie and Roxy music and things. So, and Deep Purple. I remember listening to Made in Japan by Deep Purple,
right,
and being blown away. So much good music, and so the Kiss connection comes from there, really. And I kind of, I've got a lot of respect for them as a band. They well, how many bands have a career that lasts that long and stick together like that? I know they've had lots of ups and downs and changes, right, but I think you've got to tip your hat to the consistency of what they've done over the years, and I think they've brought a lot of change to rock music as well. Right. Obviously, they were my kind of, my freshman group, my very early listening, and then I went from that to listening to lots of other things, and listen to everything really. A good song is a good song. That's the
right
bottom line to me, But my heart beats rock music, what made me pick the bass up. There was a band in the UK called Slade. I don't know if you remember Slade.
Oh yeah.
They had this guy with a really big booming voice, and he played and his name was Noddy Holder.
Yeah.
And I remember we used to have a program over here, pretty similar to what would be the American equivalent. Would it be Goldmine or Soul Station? Or it used to be on a Friday night, and they used to play all the top 20 songs.
Mm-hmm.
Slade were on there, and I just thought, man, this is incredible. And that's what made me buy a bass guitar and start, learning my little bits. And that's where I started getting my first school band, and everybody
Slade is awesome, man. I think my favorite Slade tune is "Let's Call It Quits."
Yeah,
I mean, what awesome sense of humor in that tune. It's brilliant lyrics, and it's a great song overall.
everybody should check out Slade live back in the
Mhm.
70s, because they were one hell of a live band. They wrote the book. Talking of which, Slade, when Slade went over to America, they supported Kiss on one of their very first American trips out there, and Kiss did. I think there was a bit of a. I think Kiss were a little bit influenced,
Mhm.
and there were those big Gene Simmons big
Yeah, the big
chant
boots.
anthem choruses. I think Slade had a lot to do with that. I mean, I know I read Gene Simmons' autobiography, and he does credit Slade with being a big influence. Yeah, and not, there's so many great bands back then, Humble Pie and
The Sweet,
Sweet, and that's where
Yeah.
we get our name from.
right?
When we talked about wanted to be a band, influenced by the first kind of bands we listened to as kids. I said, my mum, the first record I ever had, my mum bought me a 45 single, and it was Ballroom Blitz by
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So we just knocked the ballroom bit off it, and we just said, that looks great. That word looks just great. It looked great on a t-shirt. It looked great on a logo. So that's where it started from, really.
Nice. Yeah, not the Crocus album, the Blitz.
Yeah, I remember Crocus.
Yeah.
Great band.
Yeah, man, awesome.
German.
Hey, so you guys, 5 videos, 4 albums, one of them being a live one, the most recent being The Studio, which is kicking up a storm. Now, what's the game plan going forward? I mean, obviously you've done your fill of videos, lots of live stuff. I think you guys did what was it, a festival with like Quiet Riot and Bullet Boys, I think.
Yeah, we have a thing over in the UK called HRH, Hard Rock Hell Festival, and we've done 3 of those. We did the one with Skid Row, then we did the one with Quiet Riot last year, and then before that the one with Mr. Melnstein, Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yngwie.
Yeah, I can never pronounce that guy.
Yngwie.
We did Yngwie. We did that, and so we were lucky enough to do that, and we're constantly gigging live, and our game plan at the moment is to just get this album out there, keep promoting, keep playing, keep upping our game as far as our live act's concerned. And it's hard for a rock band, out there at the moment. The mainstream media seems to obviously not pick up on it as much as it would want a certain time, let's say. But we're doing okay. We're getting some great reviews. We're constantly playing live and upping our game. What we'd love to do is either get out to the States and do some dates, or get around maybe some dates in Europe as well. We've got some friends in Europe, and we're talking about doing some dates with those as well. So everything's on the table,
Right. Nice. Well, hey, Stuart, before I cut you loose, because this is going to be for We Go to 11. I don't know if you're familiar with Spinal Tap. You Spinal Tap?
Yeah, volume. Turn it up.
Turn it up to 11. But you guys have something in common with Spinal Tap, because you guys did a Christmas tune, and they did Christmas with the Devil. I don't know that that's necessarily a Christmas tune, but you guys did a bona fide Christmas tune. So there's somewhat of a connection there.
That again is leaning on our Slade influence. We thought if they can make a cool Christmas song,
they did make a great Christmas tune. Yeah,
and we did although we did a Christmas song, we didn't sell out. It's it's still Blitz, it's still raw, still edgy, it's still got big guitars, and it's a long way for Christmas. Is a long way off, but
it's a long way off. But the connection,
we release it every Christmas,
Yeah, but the connection here is that you guys have something in common, in a sense, with Spinal Tap. There's that connection of having put together a Christmas tune. Now, for yourself, can you think of a particular Spinal Tap moment that has occurred to you throughout your career since you've been in a Blitz?
It's just so many. There's so many. If anybody out there who's been in a rock band and traveled around and stayed in Holiday Inns and there's many, some stories unrepeatable, but well, when the three of us, the big thing that caused a lot of controversy,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that could possibly ever split us up, I think, was we shared a room, and there was our guitarist Kev was awake, and me and the drummer Matt, we just snore like a pair of snow plows in reverse.
Right. Oh, gee.
So he's got this. It's got a Zoom recorder, and when we gig,
Okay.
we Zoom record the gig, so we can listen back and we can critique. We can learn from the gig and improve. So he got this thing out, and he recorded me and Matt snoring, and we in the morning. He's like, guys, you're terrible. I can't do this. And he's like, we were saying, we don't snore. Every man says this to the wife,
Right.
don't they? And he's like, I don't snore. And he presses the recorder, and he just it sounded like hell on earth. So yeah, so there's probably a reason that the three of our wives like us to be on the road so much.
You can get a little bit of a break, huh?
Get a break from the snoring. I think that's what it
Nice.
is.
Oh man. Hey man,
thank you, Ruben.
It was a pleasure. I hope to do it again at some point, huh?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Nice. We can talk more classic rock, man. You're into the same stuff I'm into, so which probably is why I like the band. So there we go.
Oh,
hey man.
Thank you.
Take care, huh?
Yeah, thanks for supporting us and being there, brother. Thank you.
Take care, and we'll get this out to you soon.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, take care.